American workers and having them in their last days train the illegals to do their job, and they're paying the illegals a fraction. Now, let's be very clear here. I'm not against Mexicans coming in and doing work in the United States. I want everybody to be happy where they're at so they don't go anywhere. But my approach is the Buckminster-Fuller approach is let's set a global wage that is fair. Let's base it on what a machinist gets, so that a machinist in Hong Kong makes the same as a machinist in Guangzhou, who makes the same as a machinist in Houston. And from there we can build up a global living wage. But we've got to get rid of corporations and the evil that they represent.
You betcha.
In order to do so. However, the planet may take care of that for us. But let's get back to our specifics.
Jeez,
right now we've got people that have no understanding of English, no real training for electrical work, doing electrical work in the rebuilding of the Gulf Coast. Same thing with cement. In both cases, those are going to be critical to your infrastructure, and next time you get co-opted by something.
I have not even heard this.
Well, I read a lot, so I'm very aware of a whole lot of stuff. Mostly I'm outraged. I mean, I hate to put it this way, but I'm not very fond of the decisions that my species is making because I think they're really stupid.
Holy cow.
And in the main and in the specific like this.
Yeah. We have Frosty Woolrich is going to be on tomorrow. He's one of the biggest proponents in this country, along with many of our top politicians, about this illegal alien situation we have, and it is totally destroying not only our country, Cliff, but every major Western country in the world.
Well, look at it the other way. Our country, I mean, good, bad, or indifferent, we're a mature technology. Okay, we're not a young country anymore.
Right.
Okay, mature technologies degrade to the point where they're not functional anymore, and then they rebuild themselves from the remnants. The structure building, the structure decaying kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What I find really galling is we rarely discuss it because it does not impact us directly. But think of the impact on the family structure of the, quote, third world countries from which all these workers are derived.
Sure.
We're destroying their whole culture by the corporations setting up this little greed exploitation cycle, and we're destroying our culture and our families and our welfare because we don't have a living wage here, and they get paid what they think is a living wage at the expense of selling their family away.
Whew. Jeez.
Now, how is that good for the humanity?
But it's not at all. I mean, and it screws up both ends of the equation.
Correct. And it's not making the the immigrant labor, illegal, undocumented, however you want to think of them, any happier in their situation. And I have worked with many of these individuals, and they're all great people. And it's like, I'm very upset that they're, 9 years away from your family, that kind of thing,
Wow, my gosh. Cliff, somebody just wrote in, and I didn't even think of it, and, we didn't cover it. You talk a lot about ETs, a flying saucer, and what have you. Could that event be the earth-shattering event, a landing and publicly acknowledging as...
I would think that is larger than what we're seeing in the initial December through next June period. I think that on a personal level, that certainly could be the case because I'm just guessing at these emotional values, and we've gotten good at our guesses, I grant you, but it's nonetheless at its core still a guess. So I'm guessing at this point that thing would have that acknowledgement, out and out, can't deny it, slap you in the face contact with ETs, good, bad, or indifferent, would have a much a higher level of emotional build-up and release and a longer duration. I think it would take her longer than 6 months to digest. Now, hey, the good part is there's some even bigger things coming. So, that might be pending in the next 18 months or so.
Jeez.
Bear in mind that what I say is quite true. Our scale shows a scale of about 30 times higher level of emotional build and release in late 2006 into 2007 than what we're seeing in 2005 into 2006.
Wow.
And then what we're seeing in 2005 and into 2006, so we're real clear, December to say June-ish, that appears to be about 3 to 4 times what we saw in the Sumatra quake.
Holy cow. And then what's after that dwarfs everything.
What can I say? It's like, it's not like it's easily disguised. We can't, get out the lipstick and call that anything other than a pig, no matter how much we decorate it.
I like that. I like that.
You got to have a good attitude about it, right?
Well, you do. You know. Do you think the Sumatra quake release was well? You said more than 9/11, didn't you? A lot.
Yeah, marginally so, 2.5 or so on our scale.
Yeah, and this big one, not the one in December to June, which is going to be multiple times bigger than 9/11 and the Sumatra quake. But I cannot even begin to imagine then.
But it might not be an event. It might encompass literally all of November and be a whole series of interconnected releases as far as we know.
Okay.
We have this clustering that appears in our graph.
Yeah.
And the clustering could be, I mean, you could postulate that it might be the beginning of a revolving bank collapse or collapse of stock markets over the course of a month, which then leads to the economic degradation such that everybody on the planet more or less feels it over the next 6 months. That would do it.
Jeez.
And see, that doesn't involve any earth changes, right?
Yeah, but would it be that much of an emotional release?
The subsequent economic collapse into out and out by the time we hit May, everybody understands we're in a depression. It's in the newspaper every day. That certainly would qualify, yes.
Cliff, what about some of the predictions that you've been talking about on the runs about the coming food shortages and what might be causing that?
That we see at this stage to be more of a, well, see, that could also be economic, right? If you get to a certain point within the collapse of the economy, nobody's going to be shipping food in the United States anymore. And I hate to tell you, but the United States is not a net exporter of usable food by humans. We're a net importer, have been for a number of years, perhaps 12 to 15 years. And our total energy analysis has us at the top of the heap of the pyramid. That is to say, we as a group, the United States, uses more energy to produce each calorie than any other group of humans on the planet. Some humans use very little calories to produce calories in food. We're using vast quantities to do so. So we could be hit by food shortages just as a result of an economic collapse, and I would certainly expect that food shortage to occur. We have a microcosm in Argentina. Spotty food shortages appeared, and all food went up 200 to 300% in cost.
Really?
I would stipulate that globally, if all food for all people went up basically 300% in cost over the course of a month, that would certainly have a huge emotional release and ripples that would last 6 months.
Yeah, and probably lose many millions of people from starvation.
And related ancillary diseases, etc., yes. It's a terrible thing that, I mean, the work we do is not nice because of the things we have to dwell on.
Wow. Is there anything, and I don't know if stuff like this comes out in the runs, is there anything that we as a people around the world could and should be doing?
The stuff that we get doesn't go that way. It's not like a prophetic system where it says, you know, big voice, burning bush, you know, that kind of thing. Do this or else, right?
Yeah.
We don't get that kind of thing. We get the real descriptive part of the or else, and we could infer what should be done to prevent that, but it's only through inferring. I think we're acting very stupidly. I think that we're facing as a species a huge wall. That wall could be graffiti painted scant resources in any language you care to use, and that's really what we're up against. Now, scant resources forces changes within the society, and we're going to come to that. I think we will probably be really stupid and see scant resources equals instant competition, and I think that's wrong. Personally, I think that the planet and the energies that are around us are escalating. We may never know. I don't want to say this. Probably not enough of us will survive to have a history of the time you and I are living in.
Now, how far down line do you foresee that happening? Is that the June event or further down than that?
Further down.
A few more years?
We're facing a hard number of years. If we were to just, let's take prophecy, okay? Let's take the weirdest prophecy I'm aware of.
Right.
Or the second weirdest. I'm aware of an even weirder one, but here's one that has some validity to it.
Yeah.
There was this fellow who lived in the culture prior to the Mayan.
Okay.
And the Mayan took his words and they wrote them down relative to the calendar. And they put various different emotional impacts, if you will, times, flavors, to various different years. And we're in the last part of the Mayan calendar, which is 5,115 years long. And we're in the last 5 or 6 years of it, 2012, right?
Right.
And that they thought of time in groups of 20 and in groups of 13. And any way you slice it, we're in the last half of the last group of 20, and we're in the last half of the last group of 13 years. And this guy's particular prophecy, which was written out in their language prior to the beginning of this calendar, 5,115 years ago, said that this last Baktun, this last group of time, these last 20 years, would have the first half of those 20 years be a time when food was plentiful and every belly that wanted to be full could be full.